Hello, everyone, and welcome to Metro TV. I'm your host, Andy Hoig, CEO, publisher of Metro Magazine. Today on our show, I will be interviewing Kim Mickelson. She is the CEO of Bozell, and Sarah Grandinetti is here from LA talking to us about an event coming up at the end of September called Being You, the Weekend Adventure. So don't go away. We will be right back. Well, I'm here with Kim Mickelson. She is the CEO, president?
CEO
of Bozell Marketing.
Right.
And Kim, thank you for joining me.
Oh, you're welcome. Glad
I
to
didn't
be
know
here.
if there was anything else. I know Bozell, I mean, has been around for so many years, but kind of what we're going to talk about, you know, the name has kind of changed a little bit in how it's presented to the community. But again, thank you for coming on the show. You were in our April issue as our game changer. We feature a game changer every issue, and I love your story. I just love it so much. Because as we were talking before the camera started to roll, we all start from someplace, and we just don't like come into this world and then we're just catapulted into this place of leadership, you know, visionary. We have to go through some stuff. There we go, stuff. So let's talk about the stuff, because you were born or grew up in Grand Island, and so tell me about that.
Well, I was lucky. I knew from an early age that my interests, I loved consumer behavior and what they did. It sort of led me down a career path of, you know, marketing. And so I kind of pursued that through college, got my first job out of college with an ag company. And even despite the fact growing up in a smaller town in Nebraska, I still didn't grow up on a farm, so had to learn a lot. Had a lot of very interesting experiences. I think the stories that you read in the issue was my experiences in putting together. I was the marketing person, so I was wearing many hats, doing a lot of things, putting together field days and test trials, and you know, out with photographers, and you know, managed to land in my fair share of animal excrement head first a few times. Got pelted with, I don't know what the official name is, but I called it the slurry shooter, an irrigation system that was shooting liquefied manure. You know, and just whatever it took. What I learned early on was whatever it took, you did the job, you know, and you just figured it out. And I learned to laugh, and I learned to not worry about getting my hands dirty, literally.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it was really fun to read about that. Again, this is the April issue, so if you want to go read the whole story, that would be awesome. Grew up in Grand Island. As I was reading through the story today, I was making some notes. First marketing position
was the seed corn company.
Okay, was the seed corn company. First marketing director also. Okay. Then I'm going to move on to one of the things that stuck out. First influencers. You mentors, Galen and Nellie.
Yep, Galen and Nellie.
Galen.
Yep, I mean, I worked for a variety of different advertising agencies, but I went to work, it was a smaller shop. They were actually a creative team that came out of Bozell, and they formed their own shop. But they were both very much risk takers and thought outside the box. And, you know, I really learned a lot from them about how to really think differently and how to approach things differently. So, you know, really gained a great insight, had a lot of fun, just a lot of fun. Realized that, you know, you can really enjoy what you do, not just do what you do. So, yeah.
And I know Nellie McCallum. I mean, I know Nellie really well. Galen is, I don't know.
He was if she was the creative side, he was the business side.
Okay.
They were both very creative, but he was a writer and she was a designer. Yeah. You know, so they were a great team, but they were the yin and yang together, and they were, Nellie is incredibly persistent.
I know Nellie.
You learn a lot from Nellie, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, and to this day, I talk to both of them. So they're sweet people.
I love that. You also worked with some industry giants. Peebler.
Chuck Peebler.
And Bell. So tell me about
David Bell.
Yeah.
Well, again, they were Chuck Peebler was and David Bell were both leaders of Bozell from probably the late 60s through its acquisition through the holding company in the late 90s. And Chuck Peebler, I think when he took the position, he had married Morris Jacobs' daughter. And when he took the position of leadership, he was like 27 years old. So an industry great, right? Really understood the industry, but also brought and surrounded himself with people who, he knew business, surrounded himself with people who knew the creative mindset and what it took. And so he did a great job of growing the company from something that started in Omaha, became a national agency, but into something that became a powerhouse. I mean, like something like 252 acquisitions.
Wow.
It grew to a multi-billion-dollar company. He really moved it forward. He was so energizing to work with. They both were just amazing people.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, let's move on and kind of, what is your role now today?
Well, myself and 3 business partners bought the company back in 2001 from a holding company.
Okay.
So we had went from a privately held company, grew in Omaha, to a national agency, to an international company, had merged with another company to form a holding company and became public. And then as the pendulum started swinging back, as yet the industry changed again, there was yet another acquisition, and we had the opportunity to buy Bozell back.
Okay.
So there were myself and 3 others. So we were all, equal owners or managers of the company. And so we each focused on our area of expertise. Mine is sort of kind of front of the house, more client side, strategy, planning, and so forth. Today I am CEO, but it's luck of the draw. I never even told them this story.
What? Okay, what does that mean?
Because there were 4 of us when we bought the company back. Today we're 100% women owned. The guys kind of left early. And so today we're 100% women owned. We all had the title of managing principal, because titles never mattered to any of us that owned the company. But we got some pressure from lawyers and accountants about, you need to have a little more structure for state papers and stuff like that. So he's like, somebody needs to be assigned these roles. So we literally put the titles in a hat and drew them. And I drew CEO.
What the heck?
So, I mean, our roles are still very focused on our areas of expertise.
Right.
So I am much more involved with client planning, business development. One of my business partners, Robin Donovan, is genius relative to operations. Man, she can deal with accountants and lawyers and contracts and that kind of stuff. It's not my thing. I'm more in the planning and the marketing, client relationship side. We brought in a much younger than us, partner a few years ago who's just a dynamo in terms of business development, very sharp. So today we're 100% women owned. We each kind of focus in our area of expertise, and we work as a well-honed team.
And talk to me a little bit about how the industry has changed.
Oh my goodness.
Because, I mean, first of all, it's changed big time. But,
Well, I think the biggest change really is the whole area of marketing has gone from what I call monologue to dialogue. Driven by the fact that consumers are completely empowered. I mean, they can destroy reputations overnight. They can drive change overnight. They can mobilize quickly because technology has enabled it. So where years ago, companies would plan their marketing campaigns and really think through what their messages are and spin them and work that way. Now it's a two-way street. It's really understanding what the consumer needs are, having a dialogue as opposed to, here's what I'm telling you. That just doesn't play. And so you have to be agile, you have to move quick, you have to make decisions quick, you have to stand for something. Because that's the other thing is consumers don't just want to know what your products are. What do you stand for?
Yes.
Do your values match theirs? Are you doing things that are good for the earth? Whatever their issues are, they want to know what you stand for.
Yeah.
You can't it used to be that it was like, these are the taboo things you just don't talk about relative to business. Well,
No, yeah.
today you kind of have to.
Yeah, you talk about them. Yeah.
So that's a change because
Yeah.
a lot of, particularly the companies that have been around a while, that's hard for them to grasp.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's a different dynamic.
It is.
Yep, it's really a different dynamic. Not only that, but I mean, it was a lot easier years ago when there were 3 television channels and there were.
I know.
And today
I
the
know.
media ecoscape,
Yeah.
you couldn't even get all the players on a giant wall.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so huge. And what is connected TV? What is OTT? What is, there's all these things.
Right.
And it used to be you bought a thing, right? I buy an ad on a TV channel or
Right.
in the newspaper. Now you're buying an audience.
Yeah.
And that audience might be anywhere.
Yeah.
Could be on a television spot, could be in Spotify, could be,
Yeah.
anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's very different.
One last thing before we go, and 30 seconds to a minute, chill squirrel. I want to talk about that just briefly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, when my husband's contract was up relative to his, he was in the data field for decades. He decided it's time to do something different, and we had a place in Colorado. The decision was,
We're at
let's
Colorado,
do something
just
fun.
curious.
Bailey, Colorado.
Okay, all right.
Small town, 25, 30 miles from Red Rocks, kind
Right.
of up in the mountains. Small community. We decided, wouldn't it be fun to open a store? The name came from the fact that we raised a baby squirrel.
Yeah.
My husband has a real love of nature, and we have a squirrel playground in our backyard where squirrels, so he liked it, and Colorado was his chill place.
Yeah.
So
I trust. Yeah.
very
My
fun.
mom lived in Estes Park.
yeah,
So,
yeah. So it's very fun. It's something as we move forward, it'll play a different role in our lives, and we're going to get some goats, and we're going to go back to farming roots kind of thing.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
yeah.
I'm going to come visit.
Yeah, we'll do that.
So,
Yep.
thank you so much
Oh,
for
you're
joining
welcome.
me today.
Absolutely, I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, it's great to get to know you
Yeah.
more. So, all right, and we will be right back.
All right, 5 before the hour. Modern society does place a lot of expectation of perfection on us. You have to have the perfect body, the perfect career, the perfect spouse, and so on.
All be Lee Nelson. So, what if that endless pursuit of perfection is just the wrong thing to do? Sarah Grandinetti, a certified facilitator for classes based on the book Being You by Dr. Dane Here, has some tips on avoiding the trap of perfection.
Tip number 1, stop judging you. When you go to judge yourself, you actually stop the flow of possibilities showing up in your life. So when you feel yourself judging yourself, see a big old red stop sign and just stop. And instead, acknowledge the greatness of you. Stop caring so much about what other people think of you. What other people think of you is none of your business. It actually is not a contribution to the creation of your life. Have gratitude for you. The definition of gratitude is a readiness to show appreciation for and return kindness. What if you had a constant readiness to show appreciation for you and return kindness to you instead of judging you? What would that create in your life? Tip number 4, you're not wrong. You've done your best your whole life. And if you could acknowledge that alone, it will begin to melt away all of the self-judgment that you've had of you for years and begin to set you free to be more of you. Tip number 5, and it's actually my favorite tip. Be kind to you. What if the purpose of life was to have fun? What could you add to your life today that would create more fun and ease and joy in your life that would actually contribute to you having more of you? A good measure when people are mostly being them is when they're actually having fun. What would it take for you to have more fun with you today?
Well, I am so excited to be here with Sarah Grandinetti. Sarah, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
And Sarah, so you are a certified facilitator for Access Consciousness, but also for the Being You kind of team and that whole platform that they have as well. And that's why we're here to chat. We're going to chat about Being You.
It's my favorite topic. So
Yeah,
let's
Being
chat.
You. So we're going to start, because there's a lot of different elements to this. So we're going to start one of the things. So Being You, I'm just going to put the book up here. Everything you're doing kind of came from Being You, Changing the World by Dr. Dane here. And that's Sarah's brother. He wrote this book back in 2011.
Yes.
And it really is changing the world. And I'll just tell you briefly about how it changed my world. And you know the story. I read this. I picked this up in 2017 November, and I'm always reading. I'm learning. I'm reaching out there. I'm seeking. I'm finding and doing all these things. But this book really touched me in a way, and kind of blew the lid off of my reality. And I can't say that about too many things. It just blew the lid off my reality and actually had me asking questions in a way that I've never asked them before. And again, what an amazing experience. And I'm so grateful that I connected with this book. So we connected.
We did.
We connected in May. Just talking to you, you did a Being You bash on Facebook, a live Zoom call, and all around the country. And you brought people all around the country into talking about the whole Being You experience. And I watched that. I was there, and I called you immediately afterwards.
Immediately, it was pretty much immediately.
Immediately, and said, "Talk to me about this. Talk to me about this, Sarah." So let's just first talk about you and who are you, and tell.
Who am I?
Yeah.
Well, my name is Sarah, as you said.
Yeah.
I live in Los Angeles, California, and I own a salon business there, and I've been doing hair for about 15 years. And I have 4 kids, and I also get to travel the world teaching these classes. And Being You, Changing the World is one of the classes I get to teach, and it is by far often my favorite. I love it so much because it really is what people are seeking but can't seem to find. It's these tools, because everybody's telling us in this society, like, be you, be your authentic self, and it's on every billboard everywhere. I think Oprah even had it on the front of her magazine, but there are no tools on how to get there. So we got the message that we're supposed to be more of authentically us, but how do we get there? And so what this book has done over all these years is invited people to that possibility, and now there's a way to go sit in a room with people who are seeking the same thing, have a facilitator ask you some questions, share some tools, and then you get to take something away that's totally different than anything else I've seen out there.
Yeah, and I think the thing too about the whole, is it a being you movement? I mean, would you
yes,
would you
call
even
it
call that?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
I like that, a being you movement, because so many times I think in our lives, and I can only speak for myself, I can't speak for anybody else, but we're going through life and we're trying to please other people, and we're trying to be this for somebody else, and be this for our parents or for our kids or for our spouse or for our friends, and we kind of lose ourselves. We totally lose ourselves in the process. And we talked this morning, we were on the radio show, we kind of talked this morning that it starts like at a really young age where you just kind of get lost.
Yeah, so when we're kids, so mom and dad are trying to also be the right parent. They're trying to do it right. And then they bring this baby into the world, and not from any wrongness, but they desire so much for this kid to grow up. And oftentimes we'll try to protect the child from making the same mistakes they did, or how they were judged when they were growing up, or the hardships they had. So they're constantly telling little people, which was us when we were younger,
right.
How to get it right. How to do it right, but that's still from their point of view and their life experiences. So we grow up and we're like, okay, mom and dad, okay, teachers, okay, and love teachers, it's not that. They're also trying to do their best and contribute to young people. But we grow up and then we're like, okay, cool, I'll take that from there, I'll take that from there, and then I'll build me out of the building blocks of someone else's point of view and reality, and we don't ever get to access who we be and how we want to show up in the world. We're just trying to get it right by so many other people's points of view.
Yeah, the big thing, so you came in last night and this week, and we had a taster last night about the whole Being You conference, which we'll talk about the event itself in a little bit.
Yeah.
But came in and a group of people came together. It was so amazing, and some of the questions that you asked were about asking questions. And the thing I love about that conversation is, let's just ask a question. Now that seems very simple, but some of the questions I used to ask myself was, what's wrong with me? Why am I not getting this right? Why is this happening to me personally or in my business? Well, what's wrong with me? And that question doesn't really allow a whole lot of possibilities. So I'm gonna let you talk about that for just a minute.
Okay, so I love that, because the thing is, you're not alone, okay? Most of us function from that. What's wrong with me? The way to find out what's right is to first find out what's wrong and what you have to fix. And when you fix that, then you'll get it right. But what's actually possible is when we look at creating our life from the questions create possibilities. Questions give you an awareness of what else you can choose, what else you can create. But when you go to conclusion looking for the answer, you usually narrow it down to one or two things, and then you're back and forth between, do I leave this job, do I keep this job, do I leave this job, do I keep this job? And what's in between when you ask a question is, what else would I like to create here? And then it doesn't have to be either one of these things. You can just add something to your life that makes you happier, creates more joy. And so when people start to get that they can ask a question about what they're choosing as their life, it is like the littlest drop in the ocean of possibility. Like it opens up so many doors. And that's one of the easiest tools to get, is to ask a question and not go to the wrongness of the question, but hey, what's right about me that I'm not getting? How does it get any better than this? What else is possible here that I haven't considered? And those things will start to give you more awareness in the creation of how you want to show up in the world.
Yeah, and I feel like for just our time together today, the question that, there's a lot of questions I now ask, but the biggest one is what else is possible in any situation. If it's good, bad, indifferent, what else is possible from this? So, all right, so let's talk about the event that's coming up at the end of September, which I'm so excited and so honored to be co-hosting here in Omaha, Nebraska, because you do this around the country, and this is kind of a global like movement and thing. Your brother's doing this around the world, but Omaha, Nebraska, September 27th through the 29th. What can people expect?
Well, I'm going to take a moment on your show to acknowledge you and the creator you are, because you were the invitation for this possibility. And so I walked in your shoes a little bit this week to see you're such a gift to Omaha, and you are being you. and you're being vulnerably you, and you're being an invitation. And that really is what this class invites more of. And that's the gift that you are to the world, Andy, and I'm so grateful to even be a part of it with you. So the magic that's going to show up at the end of this month is going to be 2.5 days of diving into tools, practical tools, on how to move energy through your life. So a lot of the stuck places are stuck energies. So we'll sit and we'll talk and we'll get vulnerable and we'll laugh and we'll have a really great time, because I don't know how to do anything without having fun. And I know you're the same way. So we're going to have a ton of fun, and we're going to talk about the roadblocks that we believe are so solid, and we're going to just poke holes in them and see what can create for everybody in the class if they'll choose it.
Yeah. So September 27th to 29th. I want to ask this real quickly. What have been the roadblocks in your life?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, thanks for asking.
Yeah.
Well, I met my husband when I was 19 years old and sealed the deal right away and had 4 kids. And so, and then I said, oh, I'm gonna do something big and I'm gonna open a business. So I had my salon. So my roadblock was actually everybody else's version of success. And so when you judge something as right, you hold on to it for death, till death do you part with that. So I had the idea that as a mom, I'm limited. As a woman, I'm limited. As a business owner, I need to be there at that brick and mortar in order for it to be successful. I'm a married woman, so I have to be a really good wife. And so I limited myself based on the things that I thought I got right.
Yeah.
Which is often what happens, shows up as well.
Yeah. You brought that up. I wanted to ask it. We have like 30 seconds left, I think. So again, the event, September 27th to the 29th, Omaha Marriott. You can find out more information, email beingyouomaha@gmail.com. That is going to come directly to me, and I will answer all your questions and get you all the information. But Sarah, thank you so much. Anything that we're missing before we wrap up?
Just what if life could be more fun and you could wake up every day?
And I'm going to pull the poster out because this is a question. You'll be seeing these posters all around town.
Yeah.
One question, what if you are one question away from creating your best life? And seriously, that happened to me. And look where I'm at now. It's freaking awesome. So
thanks for having me.
Yeah, Sarah, thank you so much. And we will be right back. Thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget to go nominate your favorite charity event at spiritofomaha.com, and I will see you back here next week.